Welcome to Empowered Educator Podcast, your place for personalized professional learning to go. Join me as I discuss educational topics that empower educators to take control and ownership of their own personal learning. I'm your host, Mel Vandevort. I would like to welcome you to the first episode of Empowered Educator Podcast. This first episode will be housed on my website, empowerededucator.com, until I get everything set up with other platforms, and then I'll move this one and any others that I need to over to Spotify and other platforms for easier listening. So who is Mel Vandevort? Well, I'm a 15-year educator from Missouri, and I've taught everything from preschool to high school, and most recently, I moved into administration as a principal. So why did I start a podcast? Well, my main reason was that when I was a teacher, I was not a great teacher. I tried hard and I had some great moments, but I was not a great teacher all the time. As educators, we have all these great methods for teaching our students, and we are creating new and innovative methods all the time. If we're doing this with our students, why are we not doing this type of learning for ourselves? Why are we not personalizing our own professional learning? Why are we continuing to use the same worn-out traditional methods to educate our educators? When I was in the classroom, I attended a lot of professional development activities to learn different ways to make my teaching even better. Most of the time, this was not effective. I would sit through a professional development activity with all these ideas floating around in my head of how this would work in my own classroom. I was going to go back to school and be a much better teacher because of what I had learned. I would go back to school and that was it. I either couldn't remember what was said because there was so much information, or didn't really know how to apply what I had learned to make it fit the specific needs of my students. So I would try to use this learning, but I wasn't always able to make it fit in my lesson or use it the way I needed to in my own classroom. This was because it was one-off PD with no follow-up support. I was getting too much information too fast and without practice and processing time. As for sharing what I had learned, yeah, that rarely, if ever, happened. How could I share what I really didn't understand? This way of professional learning was a huge waste of time and money for the district as for myself. There is no real benefit from that kind of PD, and that's when I realized there has to be a better way. When I became a principal, I realized how great other teachers are in specific areas. Very few teachers are great in every single area of education. We all have strengths, though, that we can share with others, and we all have areas that we can learn from others. When I started going into classrooms to do observations as a principal, I would find myself thinking, oh, I can do that in my classroom this way. And then I would think, wait, you're the principal. You don't have a classroom anymore. I did realize that I did it all wrong when I was in the classroom. I didn't want others in my room watching me teach because I felt judged. And I didn't visit other classrooms to grow myself. It wasn't until I started visiting those other classrooms as a principal that I could see the value of learning from others. There are some amazing teachers out there. They have so much knowledge and wisdom to share. But I was siloed in my thinking and isolated in my teaching. This was by choice. I didn't want to share all of my secrets of great teaching because I had so many of those. I didn't want someone else to do it better than me. I cheated myself out of learning, I cheated my students out of learning, and I also cheated other students in other classrooms because I didn't think I had anything important to offer other teachers. I was also comfortable in the way I did things. I used to be the person who did not like to be told how to do something. I always wanted to figure it out on my own, even if it took twice as long. Yeah, I know. Great thinking there. One of my educational passions is professional learning. So much so that my doctoral dissertation is about professional learning for teachers. You might have noticed that I do not call it PD. Professional development is something different and sometimes carries a negative connotation. When I think of PD, I envision a day-long session of passively sitting, needing to potty, because there are no breaks and I don't want to take a chance on missing something that will make me a great teacher, listening to someone else tell me how to do something better than I am now. This is not how it should be. Professional learning should be personalized, active, and targeted to the needs of the learner. There should be support in the form of follow-up, and there should be reflection time and processing time. We need to leverage that human and other resources to get the most from our learning. This podcast will hopefully do that in some small way. I will share what I am learning in college as well as what I learned from all of you. I learned so much from educators on Twitter and Facebook. So be sure to follow and interact with me because I ask a lot of questions and I translate that into usable information. This is Teachers Teaching Teachers. I am super excited and I hope you will join me in this professional learning adventure and help me grow as I help you grow. My plan of action for now for this podcast is to host a regular episode the first Friday of each month, a mini Techno to Go the second and fourth Friday of each month, and then hopefully do something like a book highlight the third Friday. The book highlight will be called All Booked Up, and I think I already have a couple of authors on board for doing a guest spotlight, so be sure to listen for that. All of the information and any links from today's podcast will be on my website, empowereducator.com. And remember, learning should be sustainable, worthwhile, applicable, active, and targeted. Next time, I will be visiting the topic of flipped professional learning. So power up for personalized professional learning to go.